They told her she'd be buried by the jungle. They told her the ground would take her name and swallow it whole. By dawn, those voices were quiet. By sunrise, the jungle had learned a different name. Her name was Lieutenant Emma Ward. She did not demand space. She earned it, quietly, one small, precise habit at a time. At 5'4", she could be missed in a crowd. In the dark, she was never easy to lose. Her hands were steady from years of pulling triggers and tying knots. Her eyes had learned to read wind and leaf and light. That steadiness came not from swagger, but from 1,000 long mornings practicing patience where patience mattered most. She learned the craft in places the map called empty. Before the Corps, she spent hours in a family cabin on the edge of a Montana range, under a sky that taught a girl how to listen to weather. Her grandfather, a scout before her time, taught her to breathe with the wind. Her mother taught her how to move without announcing herself. Those lessons lodged in her like a compass. When the Corps tested her, she let the drill break other people. She bent and became something quieter, reliable. In sniper school, she learned wind drift at impossible ranges, how to make a round steer itself by reading the shimmer of heat above a field. Later in real combat, she learned a harder lesson, that skill alone is not enough if others do not believe in it. On a humid morning that smelled of mud and oil, Lieutenant Emma Ward reported to a forward staging camp in a tropical theater. The mission that week was a routine sweep, push through a thick swath of rainforest to deny a guerrilla cell sanctuary, extract intelligence, then pull back by night. The team was seasoned enough to be confident. The men laughed and cracked ribs. Confidence has a sound, loud and easy, and it often hides nerves. Emma moved like a shadow among them. She checked her rifle in the rain, tuned the scope's glass until reflections died, tightened the straps of her pack until they matched the rhythm of her breathing. Small rituals kept larger things in order. They briefed at first light, routes, objective coordinates, extraction windows. Intelligence leaned toward the enemy having prepared ambush positions in a series of gullies and ridgelines. The terrain favored those who knew how to wait. They advanced in a loose wedge through knee-deep mud and trailing vines. Monsoon water ran in ribbons across the track. Visibility closed to 5 meters between trunks. Sound became a misleading cousin of motion. At the front, the team collapsed into the jungle's hush, relying on feet and breath. Then the world shattered like a palm into thunder. The ambush hit swift, dead-on and violent. Hidden positions opened like mouths. The first salvo punched through foliage and turned organized movement into chaos. Radios spat static. The team's formation unraveled. Men shouted names and answers blurred. Someone fell. Someone didn't answer again. In those first seconds, the enemy had the advantage of surprise and of the jungle. They had numbers and prepared positions. The team tried to regroup. Orders were barked and then lost to the rain. A volley pinned them against an incline. The officer at the front took a hit and slumped out of sight. When the firefight dimmed to sporadic bursts, only half the unit could be accounted for. Emma did not panic. She moved. Her training took small, clean decisions and folded them into action. She crawled to a downed teammate and dragged him to cover. She returned to her rifle and gave the only kind of cover fire that buys seconds, enough to let the others breathe, to let them shift. Her voice over the radio was level, measured, an instrument of calm. They called the situation evade, exfil. The extraction link was jammed. The jungle had taken their comms and hidden them under static and rain. The plan to fall back to the trailhead fell apart when a river, swelled from upstream rain, closed the route.
They needed a path across broken ground, high, exposed gullies that required technical rope work, not something this team had trained for together. They needed a leader who could move in that ground and pull others out. Later, men would say the choice was obvious: call for evac and wait. The storm grounded the birds. Waiting in open jungle meant death by degrees. The only other choice was to move, to find high ground, to reach a ridge and fight, or to find a line back. That choice needed someone who could read the land like a page. Murmurs spread. We need a tech lead. Hands turned instinctively to the man with the loudest voice. But loudness does not equal knowledge. The senior medic, Vance Hulbrook, a man whose record read like a badge, assessed the slope and said the ascent was too technical for a hasty move. He suggested bypass, another plan. Men argued. Time bit down. Emma stepped forward. She had spent years threading rope up cliff faces for elk lines and worked winches for remote pullouts. She had done the work no textbook teaches, choosing a hold that hides you and ties back to anchors that will not fail. "No one's calling me brave," she told the team, voice quiet. "We move now. We go high. I can rig a line." A part of the unit scoffed. Old habits die in a chorus. But the officer, bleeding and hoarse, nodded. In that moment, authority chose practicality over posture. They rigged the line. Emma built the three-point anchor from living trunks and webbing. Rain made everything slick, and the rope hissed as it threaded through friction devices. One by one they clipped in, crawled, and edged across a waist-deep throat of rock and mud where a slip meant a long fall or worse. Halfway through, a grenade detonated down the line. People tensed. A man slipped. Emma's hands were there. She wrapped her legs around a root, anchored herself, and extended a gloved hand. Her fingers found his armpit in the dark. "Trust the line," she said. He looked at her, eyes wide, then climbed. It took hours. Hours where the jungle seemed to test resolve by sending mocking animal cries and sudden gusts that threatened to pull a rope from a simple sling. At a critical pitch, an enemy fired a single tracer round that clipped a pack and sent it tumbling. The group flinched, but kept moving. Emma's calm became the axis rotating the team toward survival. When they reached the ridge, the moon peeked through clouds, and the line of trees outlined them in black lace. They had survivors and wounded, and a dwindling battery of hope. They had counted the cost. The enemy did not pursue. Perhaps they assumed a route. Perhaps they had different priorities. The team set a perimeter. They waited for first light and a plan to exfiltrate. Dawn did not bring rescue. At first light, a sweep down the slope found a scene that would become a rumor. 3 men missing, a blood trail vanishing beneath thorn. They radioed and searched while rain still spit from the leaves. A small mosquito of truth fluttered up. One of the missing had been dragged down the gully toward a creek that cut through a ravine, toward an area the team could not risk in daylight. The lead counted heads. The roll did not match. In the scramble of fear and mud, someone had unfastened a strap and left a pack behind. In the confusion, someone spoke once, a sentence that would ricochet later. "We can't go back down. It's too dangerous." The decision hardened like a bruise. The team left the ravine to preserve what remained. Emma saw the faces. She saw the man missing, the ragtag of broken boots and a shirt snagged on a boulder. She saw the reality that some decisions get made in panic that later feel like betrayal. They left him. They walked away and filed an incident. They wrote the minutes and waited for command. The jungle kept his name as a quiet absence. The team limped out, and the radio finally found a cell. The operation reported 3 missing, 2 wounded, evacuation impossible, regroup and resupply. In the aftermath, rumors told a version where the missing were enemy fighters. But Emma had her own truth. She had seen the slit of a sock, the angle of a pack. In her chest, no report would erase the image of a man's hand still reaching for a strap as the rest of them turned and the ridge swallowed what remained. She did not accept being the one whose story would be written as a line on a manifest. She moved toward the ravine alone, at first, and then with one who would not let her go. Her small frame slid into the green like an apology. The jungle seemed to notice and draw its breath. They found him 2 gullies down, alive and barely coherent, wedged under a slab of root and rock, hypothermic and bleeding. There was no time, no room for ceremony. A fallen hiker's eyes blinked against a face streaked with mud.